Well, here we go. Hold on. I've got to start us up. Hold on. Get ready for big hair, by the way. It's coming. It's on its way. This is it. This is what happens when my hair is in a towel right up until we walk out. Like, we have now transitioned into full moosage. Seriously. I'm never going to be taken seriously as a legit anchor lady at any point if I keep froofing my hair like this. I might have a future asking questions on OAN, but I just can't bring myself to be, to kowtow to the soon-to-be ex-president, Donald John Trump. Yeah. It's pretty big today. It is very floofy. And my girlfriend walks in and she goes, did you spray it that way? And I was like, no, I just kind of did it back, wrapped it in a towel, and then went brush. Oh my God, what is happening with this monstrosity? I will admit at some point to leave-in conditioner might be the culprit because I took the advice of some of the people in the chat, and they're like, it's getting long. You're gonna need some leave-in conditioner at some point. Otherwise, you're gonna have a problem with tangling, and it's gonna be frizzy. And I do see some split ends. I'm just concerned, and so I jumped on the on it right away under advice of counsel, and hold on, command click. There we go. I gotta pop out the chat so I can talk to you guys. So we're very froofy today. There's a couple of things. Obviously, we'll be dealing with a little bit of the Ron Johnson. And at no point are we going to cut off his Johnson. We're just going to discuss some of it as we go along. That was good. Hello, everybody. You need something with a silicone base to help hold it down. Well, thank you so much. Yes, it's good. I appreciate the all the advice I can get, because it's going to get extraordinarily big over the course of, like, as it gets longer, as this happens, we're talking full shoulder boom. And it's going to, yeah. I do indeed love the 80s, so I ain't scared of the idea. And so we'll see. Aquanet, Ron Burgundy. Ribs. I had ribs for lunch. So, welcome everybody. Thanks, Blues Lovin'. It's getting there. To doom. Don't hate me because I'm pooful. So there's a bunch of things that we'll deal with. Did you give your opinion on Tom Cruise's rant? Yes, I did. I did on Twitter. I mentioned this a couple times, and I suppose that we could find it and listen to what he's saying. That it's a little off-brand for the show, but I don't mind. And 6'3" with the afro, right? Gritty kid from the streets of New York. $6 million a year, that's true, but he earns every nickel of it. Fletch, thank you for even noticing. Especially considering I have Gina Davis's hair in the movie right now. So a bunch of people were, jumping on Tom Cruise for what he had yelled. Oh, let's see. Well, I'm sure we can find it. Hold on. It was all over the Twitter machine. And interestingly enough, in the rectals of film history. By the way, can I just say for the record, hold on, that Tom and I have many of the same masks. Although I think I've got his mask beat. I have one of these. You guys may have seen me wear this. By the way, and some people are like, don't wear the vents ones, the airs go out, or whatever. There's a filter inside it. It allows you to breathe in easier. But when it goes out, the filter pushes against it. So it slows the roll of your spittle and all that nonsense. So don't give anybody crap for these. It's the ones that just have generic vents on them that they don't, you put a liner in it. They're good stuff. And for the record, I still go with it's in here somewhere. Somebody's like, I've seen a bunch of these. Look at him looking all handsome and driving a car and doing stuff and getting his, since he said his teeth rearranged. There it is. Here we go. We'll get in this. Is this right in here? Do we get back to this?
You're back there in Hollywood making movies right now because of us. Because they believe in us and what we're doing. I'm on the phone with every studio at night. Insurance companies. Producers. And they're looking at us and using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs, you I don't ever want to see it again. Ever. And if you don't do it, you're fired. And I see you do it again, you're gone. And anyone on this crew does it. That's it. And you too, and you too, and you. Don't you ever do it again. That's it! No apologies. You can tell it to the people that are losing their homes because our industry is shut down. It's not going to put food on their table or pay for their college education. That's what I sleep with every night. And the future of this industry.
Yep.
So I'm sorry, I'm beyond your apologies. I have told you, and now I want it. And if you don't do it, you're out.
And he's doing this through a mask, by the way, you can tell.
You're not shutting this movie down! Is it understood? If I see it again, you're gone. And so are you. So you're going to cost him his job. And I see it on the set, you're gone. And you're gone.
And you get fired, and you get fired. It's like Tom Cruise is the anti-COVID Oprah.
That's it. Am I clear?
Well, that's a question for Scientology. I think that's an interesting term.
Do you understand what I want?
Oh, I understand what Tom Cruise wants. Make no mistake.
Understand the responsibility that you have.
Absolutely.
Because I will deal with your reason. And if you can't be reasonable, and I can't deal with your logic, you're fired.
Yep.
That's it. That is it.
By the way, when this scene is added to the final cut of the movie, it's going to be lit. All it needs is a little music, some hypercutting with him yelling into that, he's talking to, they just use this. Just roll on this. This is good. This is some of his best work. Let's get this in there. And they'll just get a shot of him just like this with his mouth over a walkie-talkie like that, and they'll just play the audio from this. And be like, we're not shutting this. And they just take the word movie out, this mission down.
Trust you guys to be here.
Yeah. Zero problem with what Tom said there. And I'm sorry if you guys have problems with him, being a Scientologist. I mean, body count to body count, you can't hold him up to most of the other major religions in the world. So if you're willing to let it slide that some people are devout and that's their thing, but he's somehow special, he deserves special scorn because you view his church as a cult and other, cults as a church, that's up to you. Cults, usually it's a matter of numbers anyways, Guys, it's official. We used to be a cult, but we cleared the actual number. Now we're officially a church. See, I told you it was a good idea not to leave our shoes by the bed and cut our balls off and join a spaceship. It's good. So, yeah, all these guys, again, yeah, you can believe that about Scientology and being a sick cult. You're welcome to believe that. You're also welcome to believe that what the Catholic Church did with pedophile priests makes it an irredeemable giver of whatever message you gain from that, but that's not the point. That's how you absorb it, not how they absorb it, and it's not reflective of what their nature is like. And good people in churches have been taken advantage of by bad people in churches since time immemorial. Same thing with governments and corporations. So, Just saying, feel what you feel. Publicity stunt? I don't think so. Because he prides himself on being jolly and cool. Yeah. He's worried, like a lot of people are worried, that they're making TV movies now. And he's like, I didn't dodge going to TV like a bunch of these idiots so that my movie doesn't make it. And this movie will come out in theaters next spring. The timing of it, it's not an accident that they greenlit it when they think, when they were like, okay, what's our real outside for a vaccine in spring of this year? If we start shooting now, we start production on this, and everybody meets their deadlines, the movie comes out in spring of next year, and people can go to the movies, and people will be dying to go to the movies again. It's Mission Impossible 9. I don't know, whatever, the next Mission Impossible, whatever it is. I believe that's what he's shooting. But that, in and of itself, that's completely, everything he said is completely reasonable. I don't blame him for saying it. He's absolutely right that the movie industry employs, tens of thousands of people in ways that most people don't even recognize. There are, a lot of times you'll see a movie with 8 cast members that has, 300 crew members, all making a paycheck, all, hoping that their job, continues, then that there's a sequel, and that this movie has to make money so they can go, yeah, we'll invest in that. Our fans don't steal our movies, they go watch them, or they rent them, or they buy them, or all of the above, preferably. So, no one religion is totally right, says Stephen. No, that's true. I mean, like I said, Albert Pike said everyone is entitled to their own unique mistake. You guys want to see my really cool mask, though? I do have one that's pretty cool. Shall I show it to you? I have to run and get it. Hold on. It's pretty sweet. What do you think? It's good. I put a filter on the inside of it, but I think it works overall, and it fits very nicely. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Bane. I broke your back. What are you going to do, Batman? Yes. So, yeah, it's comfy. It is. You have to break it around the nose bridge, as a lot of them do, but it fits really well. And then I put a filter inside of it that I put over top of it, like that. So, but it's pretty good. It wasn't expensive either. It was just, I just looked like something. I was like, well, if I'm going to wear one regularly, damn well better be cool. And then if I can use it after this to shoot sketches or something as a character, even better. It's an investment for the future. I hated the Bane character in Batman because it sounded like his voice was coming from everywhere. It sounded like they VO'd it after the fact. Did that not sound that way to you guys? Give my love to Baby Yoda, right? Cobra Commander. Oh, no comment. Let's see. Back to here, and then we'll go over here. So, before we jump into what Trump is saying, via his surrogates, because that's really the only way he interacts with anyone these days, I want to show you. Trump is like he's like Bumblebee in the Transformers right now. He just turns the channel to say what he wants to say, but he won't say it himself. And as we look at this, I want to remind everybody of something. This is a little flash from the past. Right up to the lockdown, I was just doing my weekend shows, on all the interweb outlets. And then I decided when we were all locked down, well, I'll just do a daily show to keep everybody's sanity and just kind of, follow the news and what's being said about stuff, but at the same time mock the shit out of it because I do not, and I refuse to take Trump seriously. I will not. I will not get panicked about it. I've been right all along, for the record, about everything. Biden-Harris, 306, 7 million votes, all of it. And I have to say, maintained my kind of comfort. Thank you very much. Yay, new patron. I've maintained my comfort through all this by refusing to take Trump seriously. I will not. There are some serious threats about the man, and there's some serious concern. But I will not. You told us a while back that you'd tell us where you got your mask. Please tell us now. That was off Etsy. This one I found on Etsy. Somebody was making these, and it's leather, and then you put your own. You put it basically over your other mask. That's where that one was. And then a couple other ones I've gotten on Amazon. They're weirder. I was like, at some point I'll do a mask fashion show gag for Sexy Liberal, and then we never got around to doing it. But yeah, so I'd like to go back to, because it's easy for people to forget just how stunningly full of shit Trump is. A lot. Yeah, Donald who? Right, exactly. I can't wait till 8 months from now where we're like, remember when Trump was president before what happened to him happened? We won't talk about it because but holy crap. This is I just want to remind everybody of this. So we're going to go to this. This happened before I was doing my regular stream. Remember this? This is, what was the date of this? February 26th. This is the gathering. This is the first time he comes out with a storm of people. There's Fauci. This is many ways people's first introduction to Fauci. No one's wearing a mask. Everybody's crowded as shit on stage. Remember this. And he insisted on coming out. Yes. And at this point, remember, 28 other countries, 38? Yes, 40 countries, 28 other countries, 38. 38 other countries had already closed travel to China. Private airplanes were coming and going nonstop, and Trump did nothing about those. This was all commercial aircraft. 3 airlines, United, Delta, and American, had already stopped flying from China to the States and back and forth at all. And when he did shut down travel, he gave them 4 days. Anybody who was there, 4 days to get out, essentially. And not like, oh, we're going to go get you in one of our, military planes, pick up any of our expats and bring them home who want to come home, who are afraid of catching it, and we will keep them in quarantine and do all the necessary steps. Now, he just was like, yeah, get a ticket if you can. See you Thursday. And so this, let's just run through what he said again, because it's been a little while.
To extend my deepest condolences to the victims and families in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Earlier today, a wicked murderer opened fire at a Molson Coors Brewing Company plant.
This is do you guys remember, by the way, any other time this asshole coming up and suddenly giving a crap about workplace shooters? It really, he was planning on doing this speech, and they had to tack this on to the beginning.
Taking the lives of 5 people. A number of people were wounded, some badly wounded.
Yeah, we all saw the news that day.
Hearts break for them and their loved ones. We send our condolences. We'll be with them.
No, you won't.
And
narrator, he never was with them.
And it's a terrible thing. Terrible thing.
Anyways.
So our hearts go out to the people of Wisconsin. And to the families. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for taking pictures of me while I show you how human I am.
I've just received another briefing from a great group of talented people.
The Boys to Men? No. Backstreet Boys? No. I know it has boys in the title and there's a Z.
On the virus that is going around to various parts of the world.
Yeah, it's just going around to various parts of the world. It's like it's on a tour, basically. It's on a cruise at this point. It's just on cruise ships. Kind of, it's about to retire, and it thought, I really want to see Italy and New York and California and most of the Midwest, but not till next year.
We have, through some very good early decisions that were actually ridiculed at the beginning, we closed up our borders to flights coming in from certain areas, areas that were hit by the coronavirus and hit pretty
He means China, by the way.
hard. And we did it very early. A lot of people thought we shouldn't have done it that early, and we
He keeps telling this story. He's always told that story.
did, and it turned out to be a very good thing. And the number one priority from our standpoint is the health and safety of the American people, and that's
Reminder, 305,000 dead Americans.
the way I viewed it when I made that decision. Because of all we've done, the risk to the American people remains very low.
Yeah. I mean, really, guys, go shopping, do stuff, hang out. Anytime you're at the grocery store, feel free to tongue kiss anybody who's just in the aisle with you. You might as well.
And we have the greatest experts in the world, really in the world,
Really.
right here.
And you're not going to be listening to them at all.
The people that are called upon by other countries when things like this happen.
And now they're calling them going, why the shit isn't your president listening to you?
We're ready to adapt, and we're ready to do whatever we have to
Yeah, totally ready.
as the disease spreads, if it spreads.
If it's a disease, it spreads. You can limit the spread. You can to do everything we can to limit the spread. The language is very
As most of you know, the level that we've had in our country is very low, and
I mean, guys, do you even COVID, bro?
those people are getting better, or we think that in almost all cases, the better are getting. We have a total of 15. We took in some from Japan. You
Stupid. We took in some from Japan. You mean Americans?
heard about that because they're American citizens and
Yeah, shit.
they're in quarantine, and they're getting better too. But we felt we had an obligation to do that. It could have been as many as 42. And
Remember when he was dicking around about there's 15 and I don't want the ship to come ashore because it'll screw up my numbers and we'll get 42? Remember that? Seriously. Don't let him ever mask we did so much, we were so good, while this shit was going on the entire time.
we found that it was just an obligation we felt
Yeah, it's just an obligation. I mean, they were Americans and
that we had.
this is, by the way, this is back in February. I'm playing something older because I want to remind you guys of what he said.
Could have left them, and that would have been very bad.
We could have left them and it would have been very bad. We could have let Americans die on a ship, but we're better than that, and probably no other president in history.
Very bad, I think, American people.
Remember this shit?
And they're recovering.
I did not have a live stream every day when this shit was happening. We were all just living through it. I was like a lot of people, especially in the entertainment industry, I was watching like television shows that I was planning on doing getting shut down. I was watching live shows, stand-up weekends that I had getting shut down. You're just watching your industry collapse right in front of you, and then this asshole marches out with 15, cases, and it's just an old lady and that
Of
bullshit.
the 15 people, the original 15, as I call them,
The original 15. I wonder if he still calls them the original 15 now that he's fucking lost.
8 of them have returned to their homes, to stay in their homes until fully recovered. 1 is in the hospital, and 5 have fully recovered. And 1 is, we think, in pretty good shape. And it's in between hospital and going home.
Yeah, basically, this isn't a big deal, guys. It's nothing. I mean, it's not gonna turn into anything. I mean, look, predictions being what they are, people can be wrong about shit. And in many ways, because of how other diseases like H1N1 and stuff started sneaking up on people, you can forgive some people who made predictions like, we'll get a handle on this, we think we got it together. But that's not what this is. Because you have to remember, you have to keep in mind, I want you to keep this speech in mind whenever he bitches about, COVID attacked us and we did everything we could and all that stuff, which is nonsense. But also understand that when he's giving this speech, he knows it's airborne and he knows it's 5 times as deadly as the flu, and we lose 70,000 minimum a year to the flu every year.
So we have a total of 15 people, and they're in a process of recovering, with some already having fully recovered.
Yeah, so I don't even know why I'm here, bruh.
We started out by...
Oh, thanks, Amy. It's a silicone ring that I got. I don't know if you can see what it has on it. I don't know if you can see. It's one of these rubber rings. But it's got a Mason logo on it and stuff. It's just, I can wear it on my busted finger because the knuckle's too big on that finger for a regular ring. So, yeah.
Looking at certain things, we've been working with
people and things and doing the things.
the Hill.
The Hill. I forgot how dumb this was.
Very carefully, very strongly.
Working with the Hill very carefully, very strongly, very firmly. We're gripping them often with a cupping effect and lifting it up, and also...
And I think we have very good bipartisan spirit for money. We were asking for $2.5 billion, and we think that's a lot. But the Democrats and I guess Senator Schumer wants us to have much more than that.
$8 billion? Yeah. And a drop in the bucket. And still you undershot it. Again, this has it's going to be over. I don't even know why we were asking like $2 billion. We'll put it towards this. Steve can shuffle around about $500 million of that. I can put it into Mar-a-Lago, golf funds. I can get a whole new set of clubs.
And normally in life I'd say, we'll take it. We'll take it.
We'll take it.
If they want to give more, we'll do more. We're going to spend whatever's appropriate. Hopefully we're not going to have to spend so much because...
$6 trillion later.
We really think we've done a great job in...
Yeah, it was so good. I mean, really, we don't need... It's not going to even cost that much.
Keeping it down to a minimum.
Minimum 310,000 people. Minimum 400,000 by Inauguration Day.
And again, we've had tremendous success. Tremendous.
Guys, I don't know if any of us ever felt this successful. I forgot how mission accomplished this bullshit was. Do you remember that? Yeah, Pence is just going, I love his ears. I can't take my eyes off them. They're just...
People would have thought. Now, at the same time, you do have some outbreaks in some countries.
Yeah, some outbreaks.
Italy and various countries are having some difficulty. China, you know about where it started. I spoke with President Xi. We had a great talk. He's working very hard, I have to say. He's working very, very hard.
Remember that, too. I talked to him today. He's working very hard. President Xi, I talked to him personally. He's working very hard on this stuff.
And if you can count on the reports coming out of China, that spread has gone down quite a bit.
If, that's a big if.
The infection seems to have gone down over the last 2 days.
Yeah, all it took was them building a prison, calling it a hospital, and snatching people off the street and throwing them into basically animal control containers, and then they just go away.
As opposed to getting larger, it's actually gotten smaller. In one instance where we think we can be, it's somewhat reliable. It seems to have gotten quite a bit smaller. With respect to the...
Listen to this asshole. Remember this part. Anybody, by the way, maggots, Trumpsters who come by my show, you're one of the reasons why I went through this stuff. Why I wanted to go back over this, because I never got a chance to cover this one when, because I wasn't streaming at the time. But remember this shit. He's just congratulating Xi, saying he's doing a great job. They've got it under control. It's 15 cases. I didn't want to bring those people aboard, but they're Americans, and you had to. Like, remember him bitching about his friggin' numbers? I don't want to bring 42 ahead. That'll bring my number of cases in the country over 100. Like, it was friggin' ratings.
Money that's being negotiated.
My drink is a mango dragon fruit refresher from Starbucks. My girlfriend brought it for me when she came to this business. It's a Trenta, which is the largest. Hello.
They can do whatever they want. I mean, we'll do the 2.5. We're requesting 2.5. Some Republicans would like us to get 4, and some Democrats would like us to get 8.5. And we'll be satisfied whatever it is. We're bringing in a specialist, very highly regarded specialist tomorrow, who works
Scott Atlas.
Actually at the State Department. Very, very tremendously talented in doing this.
Doing what? And who was that?
I want you to
Who did that turn out to be? Does anybody know?
understand something that shocked me when I saw it, that
That diseases pass between humans and that you're responsible for being the president to even people who voted against you?
I spoke with Dr. Fauci on this, and I was really
Thank you, Francie.
amazed, and I think most people are amazed to hear it. The flu in our country kills from 25,000 people to 69,000 people a year. That was shocking to me.
Yeah, it's almost as if you don't know shit in general. And that this is 5 times more deadly. Now, let's see.
And so far, if you look at what we have with the 15 people, and they're recovering, one is pretty sick, but hopefully will recover. But the others are in great shape. But think of that, 25,000 to 69,000. Over the last 10 years, we've lost 360,000. These are people that have died from the flu, from what we call the flu. Hey, did you get your flu shot?
Yeah, that's how the conversation goes. What's this flu you speak of? Yeah, we're going to hit that number this year, you dumb son of a bitch.
And that's something. Now, what we've done
Whoa, boy.
is we've stopped non-U.S. citizens from coming into America from China. That was done very early on.
No. People with non-resident visas.
We're screening people, and we have been at a very high level, screening people coming into the country from infected areas. We have in quarantine those infected and those at risk. We have a lot of great quarantine facilities.
No, we don't. There's people self-quarantined. There's 15 people, and then they put people in a hotel. Remember this bullshit?
We're rapidly developing a vaccine, and they can speak to you. The professionals can speak to you about that. The vaccine is coming along well, and in speaking to the doctors, we think this is something that we can develop fairly rapidly, a vaccine for the future, and coordinate with the support of our partners. We have great relationships with all of the countries that we're talking about. Some it's a fairly large number of countries. Some it's one person, and many countries have no problem whatsoever. And we'll see what happens. But we're
Yeah, we'll just see what happens. Jesus Christ, this was pathetic.
very, very ready for this, for anything, whether it's going to be a breakout of larger proportions or whether or not we're at that very low level, and we want to keep it that way. So we're at the low level. As they get better, we take them off the list, so that we're going to be pretty soon at only 5 people.
Uh-huh. Wow. I remember the 15 cases, and it's going to go to nothing, but we're going to basically be at 5 people.
And we could be at just 1 or 2 people over the next short period of time.
Sure, yeah, 1 or 2.
So we've had very good luck. The Johns Hopkins, I guess it is a highly respected, great place. They did a study, comprehensive, the country's best and worst prepared for an epidemic. And the United States is now, we're rated number 1. We're rated number 1 for being prepared. This is a list of...
He's been, first of all, he's just holding it in front of her face. But Look how awesome we are. We're the yellow.
Of different countries. I don't want to get in your way, especially since you do such a good job.
I don't want to get in your way, especially since you do such a good job. If you were this asshole, I'd just hold it right in front of your face.
This is a list of the different countries. United States is rated number 1, most prepared. United Kingdom, Netherlands, Australia, Canada, Thailand, Sweden, Denmark, South Korea, Finland. This is a list of the best rated countries in the world.
Yeah, we have the facilities, but it matters who's running shit. God damn.
By Johns Hopkins.
Yeah, totally inverted. They ran a thing. The ratings are in, and we're a winner even if we lose. So
we're doing something else that's important to me because he's been terrific in many ways, but he's also very good on health care. And we really followed him very closely. A lot of states do. When Mike was governor, Mike Pence of Indiana, they've established great health care. They have a great system there, a system that a lot of the other states have really looked to and
nobody looks to Indiana for health care.
Changed it.
No one. People in Indiana don't look at Indiana for health care.
Systems. They wanted to base it on the Indiana system. He's very good.
Yeah, the Indiana system. That phrase was ever a thing. The Indiana system. We called the dog Indiana. The Indiana system. It's great, while he was governor, when they got the Ark of the Covenant, and you should see him with a bullwhip. It's very Maplethorpe. I'm just saying. The floor's on fire, and the chair. I was the next man.
And I think, and he's
stupid, a sycophant. He's staring a hole in your ear hole, and he'd love to just stick his tongue in it.
Really very expert at the field.
He's really very expert at the field. Shit, this is dumber than I remember. Like, seriously, if I had a time machine, I would just put myself, but I would be running behind them. I would have broken into the White House running, we're doomed! These idiots don't know. I'd be like Kyle Reese going, it'll kill you! It'll find you! It's what it does! Jesus Christ.
And what I've done is I'm going to be announcing exactly right now.
This was retrospectively, this is so much dumber.
That I'm going to be putting our vice president.
Listen to this.
Exactly right now. And he's really very expert at the field. And what I've done is I'm going to be announcing exactly right now that I'm going to be putting our vice president, Mike Pence, in charge. And Mike will be working with the professionals, doctors, and everybody else that's working. The team is brilliant. I spent a lot of time with the team over the last couple of weeks, but they're totally brilliant.
Totally. Yeah, when I wasn't golfing or having rallies in the middle of a fledgling pandemic.
Brilliant. And we're doing really well, and Mike is going to be in charge, and Mike will report back to me.
Because I got president shit to do, and I can't be bothered with.
But he's got a certain talent for this, and
he sure does. That's right, Mike Pence. This is the day, literally, this is like watching like a rerun of video of someone being pushed literally under the bus.
I'm going to ask Mike Pence to say a few words, please. Thank you, Mike.
Choose your words carefully, Mike, for posterity, because this asshole just threw you to the wolves.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President, for not socially distancing at all. We're going to heal our land. A whole of America approach is what we're shooting for.
President Trump's made clear from the first days of this administration.
Look at Trump behind him like, I understood there would be no presidenting.
We have no higher priority than the safety, security, health, and well-being
of the stock market.
American people.
Oh, thank you so much, Tanya, for becoming a patron. Thank you, new patrons, by the way. We're getting close. I think we might even make, fingers crossed, we might even make our 500 number by the end of the year. It is Christmas. And you can become an annual subscriber, so you don't have to do it every month if that bothers you or whatever. You can subscribe at whatever tier you want and they discount it apparently on Patreon because they don't take their fee that they normally take. They just, I don't know. It's cool though.
And from the first word of an outbreak of the coronavirus, the president took unprecedented steps
To golf as much as possible.
protect the American people from
Yeah, sure he did.
the spread of this disease.
Unprecedented.
I counted those briefly, but the establishment of travel restrictions, aggressive quarantine effort of Americans that are returning,
Volunteer.
declaration of a public health emergency, and establishing
Wow. He declared a public health emergency, guys. Who would have thought? Like that, like there isn't a stamp in the Resolute desk that says public health emergency on it. Stomp. My dad used to have in his he's an architect, and he used to have on his desk, and I loved it when I was a kid. He had a stamp that just said bullshit, bullshit, bullshit on it. And he would get like contractors would send in how much stuff would cost and their initial preliminary. And if they were ones he knew and he didn't like it, he would go stomp and stamp bullshit, bullshit, bullshit on it. And I'm like, I want one.
the White House Corona Task Force are all reflective of the urgency that the president has brought to a whole of government
Mike Pence is the whole of government.
approach.
Hype train coming on in. Doop-a-doo-doo. And
As
yes, and by the way, we will talk a little bit about the fact that he's supposedly white. He's supposedly not a ghost. I'm not convinced quite yet that the Trump administration didn't ultimately have a vice president at all. It was just haunted. You ever know those like haunted stories where like this guy was driving in a car and there's a girl in the rain and she's wearing this little pink sweater and she's like, I'm cold, I just need to go to a phone. There's a house up here if you could just drive me. And he gets in there talk and she talks about how she got she was with friends, she got separated and all that kind of stuff. And he pulls in and he goes, wait here in the car and I'll go knock on the door. And he goes and he knocks on the door and he goes, there's this girl in my car, she says she lives here. And they go, is she wearing a pink sweater? And he goes, yeah. And she goes, she died 10 years ago. And you're the 100th driver that's come up and said, I found her. And then he looks back and there's nobody in the car. Dun, dun, dun. You know that story? Like, or some variation of it, right? I'm convinced that Mike Pence was never alive, that he was always a ghost. And he haunts I had the greatest vice president. He looked like a Q-tip. He always stared at me in a way that was so loving. What vice president? Mike Pence. He's right there. Where is he? He was just here. There never has been a Mike Pence. Mike Pence died in 1932. What? He died in the great Indiana healthcare explosion.
A former governor from the state where
He speaks, all I hear is,
the first MERS case emerged in 2014. I know full well the importance
hype train.
of presidential leadership, the importance of administration leadership.
And I'm going to bring none of that wisdom to bear on this circumstance. I'm going to do a whole of America approach, which is take America, all of America, and drag it down into a deep, dark hole.
And the vital role of partnerships of state and local governments and health authorities in responding to the potential threat of dangerous infectious diseases.
You mean like AIDS? Tell us how much you cared, Mike.
I look forward, Mr. President, to serving in this role, bringing together all the...
Just saying, Trump does not look at Pence the way he looks. He looks like, is that a fly on the back of your neck? It's like he's going to lean over. I almost got it. There was a bug, I swear to God. I swear I didn't just slap you.
members
It's Pence. Mike Pence, the friendly ghost.
of the Corona Task Force that you've established, HHS, CDC, DHS, the Department of Transportation, and State.
P.S. Alex Azar is standing right over there. He was running it, but we told him to go pound sand. He was screwing the pooch.
This team has been, at your direction, Mr. President, meeting
Speaking of has been,
every day since it was established. My role will be to continue to bring that team together.
why? It's only 15 cases. They're going to go down to 5. I mean, why are you meeting every day on that? What aren't you meeting every day? Oh, right. You aren't meeting on Russian bounties. You aren't meeting on the fact that the hack that we just discovered started right around this time or a little before.
To bring to the President the best options for action to see to the safety and well-being and health of the American people. We'll also be continuing to reach out to governors.
And tell them if they don't kiss Trump's ass, they're not getting PPE a couple months from now when the shit hits the fan.
State.
Can I get rid of... Oh, do I have spammers? Is it the Facebook thing? That's the problem with Facebook, man. Hold on. I will do that. Wait, live producer. There we do. Sorry about that. We get... I don't know where it comes from, particularly. It's an odd... Whoops. It is an odd factor. Hold on. Gotta follow. Somebody wants to follow you for at least 15. Oops. Back up. There we go. Is there a way to... Oh, yeah. There's a thing... Oh, thank you, Eric. Appreciate that. There you go. I think I got him. We'll see. I'll go back through. It's very weird. Yeah. Alex Azar, yeah. Did know the problem. Yeah.
And local officials. In fact, in the recent days...
yeah, Facebook's just weird. I mean, it's like all the Q crowd got, tossed to the wind. And so now they're everywhere.
The White House...
By the way, if you're watching on twitch.tv, don't forget to subscribe. You can do that with Amazon Prime if you have Amazon Prime, and I can't believe everybody doesn't have it by this point, considering where we are in the pandemic. You can subscribe for free. It doesn't cost you a dime, which is really cool. You can also gift subscription to other people if you already subscribe. It's a way of helping the channel and other people who can't afford to subscribe, and because they have to do it, it's individually every month. It's just not an ongoing thing. You can become a patron, or you can also give stars. Periscope is going away. Did you guys know that? I know we get a lot of super hearts and all that kind of stuff, and I just get whatever super broadcaster status, fine, on Periscope, and it's going away. It's just going to be, I think they're converting it into Twitter Live, but we'll see. How long have I had my radio show? Over a decade. Isn't that crazy?
Over 40 state, county, and city health officials from over 30 states.
By the way, you're boring and stupid, and we already heard all this bullshit and that kind of stuff, and I'm really only here to mock Trump.
I could not be more delighted that
you fired me and gave this shit show to Mike Pence,
the vice president, my old friend and colleague,
to take my job and shit on me, and I know this is going to go terribly, so I would rather have him be at the front of this. I can't thank you, Mr. President, for taking these reins and this mortal coil away from me.
To lead this whole of government approach.
Boy. Don't say whole of government in front of mother. All right, we'll back up. Hold on. We'll get back to like these folks, and then Fauci talks, and then we go back to Trump, and then there's questions. Remember this?
India, Mr. President, where do we go from here?
Now that all of the children are growing up, and how do we spend our time? Am I the only person that hears an Indian man doing karaoke? Where do we go from here, now that all of our children are growing up, and how do we spend our time? Just saying, like, it's just, I immediately went there.
As far as U.S.-India relations are concerned, and also, Mr. President, you are very famous in India, and
Look at her. I never remember this shit. Look how crowded this fucking room was. Think about this. Look at that. Look at that room. Does that not just seem frigging alien right now? He's still getting used to me. Is that Asia or Alan Parsons Project? What was that? Anyways, that song. Yeah, the games people play. You take it or you're leaving it. Yeah, right? Okay. But this lady is losing her mind listening to him kiss Trump's ass from the Indian press. Unless she's just she heard a joke 2 days ago and she's got her, this dude's like, don't do it. Don't do it. You got the sweet seat. You're right next to her. It's time to make your move. And she's like, I'm just going to squeeze one out and fart on her. And he's like, one of these days I'll be an anchor man. That's all that matters. And this guy down here is like, I want a pellet gun for Christmas, but they keep telling me it'll take my eye out. All right, sorry. This is so stupid. Level 5's hype train, though. I guess it's working.
Mr. Modi is very famous in America. What is the future? And Indian American community is with you, Mr. President.
There's another Indian American reporter back there going, this fucking guy.
Yeah, we won't talk too much about that other than I just got back. Long flight.
We're not going to talk. Long flight. That's right. Oh, God.
It's a long flight.
If I could say anything about India and to the Indian people and the people of India, it's not that it's really crazy trying yoga for the first time. And naan is now one of my favorite things. And I am amazed at some of the cultural relics that they have here. And, but no, long flight. God damn, it's a long way. Long flight. What an asshole.
He's a great gentleman, a great leader.
But long flight.
It's an incredible country.
I don't know when I'm going to see him again. He's going to have to fly here. I'm not doing that shit again.
We were treated very, very well, and we really enjoyed it. A lot of tremendous progress was made in terms of relationship. Our relationship with India is extraordinary right now. And
yeah, it really sucked before. We were basically on the cusp of war with India when Obama was in there. Remember that? Remember that, guys? When we were all like, oh, shit. Is India going to get the bomb? Christ. What if they go all like Muammar Gandhi on us?
we're going to be doing a lot of business with India. They're sending billions and billions of dollars now.
But they haven't arrived yet because it's a long flight. Christ, billions of dollars now?
To the United States. But would rather talk about this right now.
Yeah, I'd just rather talk about this this thing that's going away. Naan is delicious. It's lovely.
The CDC said yesterday that they believe it's inevitable that the virus will spread in the United States, and it's not a question of if, but when. Do you agree with...
Whatever. Look, this room is going to be sardine packed till the day he leaves office. Understand this? Not only is it not going to spread, but you guys are going to be fighting for floor space in an increasingly stuffed room. And there is no way that after the election, A, that he loses, and B, that he doesn't do press all the way up till the 20th when he launches OG1 and then gets hit by the Security and Exchange Commission for grifting people and has to move his business overseas. Look at this room.
that assessment?
Well, I don't think it's inevitable. It probably will. It possibly will. It could be at a very small level, or it could be at a larger level. Whatever happens, we're totally prepared.
No, we're not.
We have the best people in the world. You see that from the study. We have.
You see that from the study. I had a graph. Yes, OG1 is the name of the network that allegedly Don Jr. is working on starting, where you earn it's cryptocurrency based, and as you watch it, you become an investor in the cryptocurrency. You get like a 0.000, you're like basically turns viewers into crypto mines for you. And then they can spend it on shit that you want, which starts out initially as like coupons and then eventually grows into tradable dollars that you can exchange for, all the things you can use cryptocurrency for, human trafficking, drugs, weapons, targeted assassinations, all the stuff that cryptocurrency really shines around.
Have the best
dark web shit, which, by the way, the president's about to pardon a dude who started the Silk Road dark web drug chain, basically. And then that guy's gonna more than likely get a job at OG1. Look for it in probably the spring. Yeah.
prepared people, the best people in the world. Congress is willing to give us much more than we're even asking for. That's nice for a change. But we are totally.
Yeah, they basically, I don't know why Congress didn't say, here's a good idea. Here's $8 billion. Go build a wall around the fucking virus, you moron.
Ready, willing, and able. It's a term that we use.
It's just, we made it up. It's another one. Jesus Christ. Thanks, Jay.
ready, willing, and able. We have. It's going to be very well under control. Now, it may get bigger. It may get a little bigger. It may not get bigger at all. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. A little bigger, a little. Christ. Yes, old gangster one. Original gangster one is the idea.
See what happens. But regardless of what happens, we're totally prepared. Please.
You talked a little earlier about the screening measures that you put in place and the travel restrictions you put in place regarding China. At this point, as the virus spreads in Italy and South Korea, are you planning on adding those countries?
Well, just so you understand, I'm the president of the United States. I'm not the president of other countries. Other countries, some are on the list that are very respected in what they do in terms of what we're talking about. But I really want to be responsible for this country if it means placing a very strong situation on the border so people can't come into our country from a country that is infected. We're doing that, and we've already done it with numerous countries. But
numer country.
We have to focus on this country. I don't think it's right to impose ourselves on others. But
asshole, he's not asking you if Koreans should be able to fly to the UK or not, and you're going to do anything about it. We're not going to shoot airplanes that are flying over the continental United States out of the fucking sky. This was I don't even remember this stupid answer. He's asking if you're going to restrict travel into the United States from other countries.
If others aren't taking care or we think they're doing it incorrectly, we're dealing with World Health. And we have terrific people. And CDC does go around and help other countries, give them recommendations as what to do. But they're working on their countries and we're working on our countries. And so far from our standpoint...
Yeah, this asshole actually thought he was asking him, can you put up a date? Oh, yes, absolutely. So this is... No, let's see. How do I do this? Oh, yes, okay. Drag this part of it out, make it a little larger. Add a little thing. Good idea. Let's see. Oh, I know what I can do. Hold on. Will it work? Let's find out. It's very exciting, the whole thing. No, that's not it. No. I'm looking for little pieces. I know that. Oh, there it is. I see. Okay, so... Okay, let's see. Countdown to title. Here we go. There we go. Let's do this new. Try this guy. Change the this was from February 26. Yeah. Feb 26. 2020 Trump presser. There we go. It just loves making that little noise when the little thing. Okay, so that should be okay. Save widget. There we go. And then date. A new widget. There we go. And let's see. Add to the scene to that one. Okay, there we go. Hopefully that'll do it. Let's see. Let's go back to where we were. Yeah, there we go. Oh, it's going to spell it out. That's kind of cool looking, but it'll do it. Meow. So I'll just put it up here so you guys can see that. And then I'll put it down here. I love doing graphics on the fly with you guys. It's fun. There you go. So... There you go. So that's, hold on. What is it? So this is from February 26th. Yeah? Is that good? Is that all right? Yes, this is an old one. That's the point. We're going back and looking at what he said and and calling it out for what it is. And since it's animated, people will understand that that's where we are.
It's really worked out very well.
It's really worked out very well, was the last thing he said.
Can you clarify, are you considering restricting travel to and from South Korea, Italy, and other countries?
Yeah. Can you actually listen to the question asked and answer it? Jesus Christ, that room was crowded.
That have been affected
At a
by
right
this?
time, we may do that. Right now, it's not the right time, but at a right time, and we are checking people as they come through, specifically for the problem that we're dealing with. So we're checking a lot of people.
I loved how he used to talk like he was going to get censored on YouTube for saying COVID.
They're coming from South Korea's been hit pretty hard. Italy's been hit pretty hard. China
think
is
so.
obvious
I
what's
don't think-
happened in China. But again, the numbers seem to be leveling off and going down in China, which is very good news. So
Yeah, it helps when you can round your people up and incinerate them.
we'll see what happens. Please.
President, White House has spent a day denying that they are going to appoint a czar to run point on the coronavirus response. Today, the Secretary Azar testified that he didn't think one was necessary. They were going to run it out of HHS, and you yourself have been downplaying this. So why are you now selecting the vice president
Well,
to run
Mike
point
is
on
not
this?
his vice president. He's in the administration. But I'm having everybody report to Mike. Mike's been very good, very adept. Anybody that knows anything about healthcare, they look at the Indiana model.
Honest to God. Did you ever hear Indiana model before this bullshit back in February?
And it's been a very great success. It's
Great success. I like.
a tremendous model in terms of healthcare, and this is really an offshoot of that. So this isn't a czar. I don't view Mike as a czar. Mike is part of the administration, but I'm having them report to Mike. Mike will report to me. They'll also be reporting in some cases to both. I'll be going to meetings quite a bit, depending on what they want to do and what message we want to get out. But we've done
Because messaging is more important than the actual strategy.
really an extraordinary job when you look at a country this size with so many people pouring in. We're the number one in the world for people coming into a country by far. And we have a total of 15 cases, many of which, almost much within a day, I will tell you, most of whom are fully recovered.
Within a day. By the way, he knew, again, at this point, that he'd already told Bob Woodward that it was more deadly. He knew it was more deadly than the flu and that it was airborne.
I think that's
5 times as deadly. And he's already admitted that he knew that the minimum number was 25,000 and the normal number is 69,000. I don't know where he got that. He didn't want to say 70,000, I guess, because that's the average. But he knew that it was 5 times more deadly than that on a yearly basis at this point while he's bullshitting. And they're like, well, what? If it's no big deal and you've been downplaying it, why do you have, Mike Pence acting as a czar? Oh, he's not a czar. He's already in the administration. Well, you have a coordinating official, and it's the vice president.
It's really a pretty impressive mark. Now, we did take in 40 people that were Americans.
Those stupid people that were on that boat. If they hadn't screwed it up, and they're the ones that brought it in, clearly from Korea.
And they're also recovering. But we brought them in, so I have a different group. But we felt we had an obligation to American citizens outside of the country that were trying to get back in. We thought it was very important.
We did after a week and a half of being yelled at.
The stock market has taken a big hit over the
Yeah.
past few days. What can you do about that? And if the CDC is right in saying that the spread is inevitable, are you going to be dealing with stock market issues and economy issues for some time to come?
Well, I
Nah, probably not. I don't think so. I think it'll be fine. I think it's going to be great. People will buy the dip.
really think the stock market is something I know a lot about. I think it took a hit maybe for 2 reasons. I think they look at the people that you watched debating last night and they say if there's even a possibility that can happen. I think it really takes a hit because of that. And it certainly took a hit because of this. And I understand that also because of supply chains and various other things and people coming in. But I think the stock market will recover. The economy is very strong. The consumer is the strongest it's ever been. Our consumers are incredible.
They're great consumers. They consume better. We have such the amount of consumption. Oh yeah, he had already sold out on stock. They were getting out of shit. Right now, Loeffler and Purdue were already planning on selling stuff off and buying other things.
Incredible. That's why we're doing well and other countries have not. Even before the virus, we're doing great. Other countries have not been doing great. Our consumer is very, very strong, very powerful economically. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, have you been presented any plans that would involve quarantining cities like we saw in China? And what would have to happen for you to take a
We
step
do
like
have
that?
plans of on a much larger scale, should we need that. We're working with states. We're working with virtually every state. And we do have plans on a larger scale if we need it. We don't think we're going to need it, but you always have to be prepared. And again, Congress is talking to us about funding, and we're getting far more than what we asked for. And I guess the best thing to do is take it. We'll take it.
How much are you willing
We'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take a bunch of it and stash it away.
How much are you willing to give? How much money are you willing to give Congress if they're going $6
Well,
billion
we're going to
more
see,
than
but
you
we'll take
offered?
care of states because states are working very hard. We have hospitals in states that make rooms available, and they're building quarantine areas where you can keep people safely. We're working really well with states. It's a very big part of it. So,
Remember how this crashed and burned?
my attitude, if Congress wants to give us the money so easy, wasn't very easy for the wall, but we got that one done. If they want to give us the money, we'll take the money and we'll just do a good job with it. Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Mr. President, should Americans be going out getting protective equipment such as masks and so forth? And if so, what is the...
Look at the girl next to him. Masks? What is this masks of which you speak? Masks. That's an interesting phrase. I wonder if that will be part of the lexicon going forward. Let me make a note of that. Masks?
the U.S. doing to boost production of masks?
Well, we can get a lot of it. In fact, we've ordered a lot of it just in case we need it. We may not need it, you understand that. But in case, we're looking at worst case scenario, we're going to be set very quickly. But
we weren't.
I don't think we're going to ever be anywhere near that. I really don't believe that we're going to be anywhere near that.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Our borders are very controlled. Our flights in from certain areas that we're talking about are very controlled. I don't think we'll ever be anywhere near that. Please go ahead.
Whatever.
Back to the stock market for a second. The travel-related stocks have especially been hammered here in the last couple of days. What would you say to Americans out there who right now are looking forward to the summer or the upcoming months and saying to themselves, should I make my summer plan? Should I go travel abroad?
Well, hopefully they're going to be able to do that. We hope that it's going to be in good shape by that time.
Yeah, by then.
But, they're going to have to remain a little bit flexible. Yeah, I would say travel-related companies, certainly right now, they would be hurt.
By the way, as how he's kind of like, well, it's a little thing. We want to be prepared for the worst case scenario, but it's not really he already knows during this. The only reason they did this on, whatever, this is listed as February 26th, but it might have happened a couple days earlier. The only reason he even bothered to come out with this crowd and make Mike Pence in charge and put all this forward was not because, half and half. It might turn out to be some bullshit. He knew the shit was about to hit the fan in a bad way, and he still couldn't manage it. But okay. By the way, and enough of this nonsense too. By the way, we've you get the point. We've all can go back and watch that whole thing through. I wanted to go through. There's no way to go through all of the Ron Johnson hearing today. The Russian disinfo gathering that they put forward, which is part of what's going on, or Kayleigh's. We went over Kayleigh stuff yesterday or whatever. And Trump also retweeted Mark Levin. The other day, this was an important piece, according to Trump. This is what Trump prioritizes, and these are the videos that they pull, sending to people. And he tweets these things out. And so, yes, it's important to look at the entirety of, their statements and all those things. And this is less about, as far as the expedience of time, and not just because we would be here for days going sentence by sentence through Ron Johnson's bullshit in that hearing, because it's 4 hours long. But the important thing to notice is these are the things that Trump has them pull for him, or his staff pulls because they knows he wanted, he'll go grab what he just said right there. And then he tweets out these little pieces. So yeah, we watched all of Kayleigh's thing yesterday, and we just dealt with it as you do. But Trump pulls these little 47 seconds, 120, 29 seconds, 17 seconds even, so that they pull them and put them on his main YouTube page, mainly so he can tweet them. So this is less about what's actually said, what Ron Johnson's entire statement is that we could do a whole segment on, and I very well may. I mean, I think it's going to die on the vine, as much of it does. But I want to point out, these are the pieces that Trump thinks are important. So let's take a look at what Trump actually said. Will Kaylee resign? No, she's right up. She'll be there right up to the 20th, because that's her. She's gonna her potential job at CNN that she allegedly has wouldn't start until after that anyway. She would never agree to it, so she knows she's employed all the way up to the end, and she can. She's going to be a campaign spokesperson and political contributor, so she'll have two jobs at once. Right now, she still has two jobs at once. But let's go through these are the parts that are doubly important. One, they're things that Ron Johnson, Putin's favorite current senator, wants you to know. But also, they're the parts that Trump thinks are important.
But even though courts have...
So this is part of this is the opening of his statement. And by the way, they are pulling these clips from OAN. Check this out. Hold on. The president is not pulling these from C-SPAN. They're pulling these from OAN. All this stuff is on C-SPAN for free. That's why OAN has it. Yeah.
But even though courts have handed down decisions in the
yes, they have.
Electoral College has awarded Joe Biden 306 electoral votes.
He deserved more, though, but the ES&S machines, they were phony. That's another fight for another day.
A large percentage of the American public does not believe the November election results are legitimate.
So what? So what? What you believe versus what actually happened is not... You do not placate someone by going, a large portion of the American public thinks they're Napoleon, so we have to address them as such. No, you deal with reality and hope they catch up.
This is not a sustainable state of affairs in our democratic republic.
Good, so resign and stop trying to talk them into it.
There are many reasons for this high level of skepticism.
Yes, one, Russian disinfo. That's your job. Two, people believing Trump's bullshit. Three, the ongoing lies that they try to push because they can't believe that their dude is as big a loser as we all know he is.
It starts with today's climate of hyperpartisanship.
Yeah, it's really it's the back and forth that's really to blame. It's the hyperpartisanship, not him being partisan right now.
Which is only exacerbated by the persistent efforts to delegitimize the results of the 2016 election.
What? The consistent efforts to Oh, sorry. Yeah, I've got to thank you for reminding me to remove the date. I appreciate that. Hold on. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Dink. Yeah, this is from today. Appreciate that. Thank you. I forgot all about that. So, where is it? Here we go.
The corrupt investigation and media coverage of the Russian collusion hoax.
Wasn't a hoax. Look how the dude next to him was like, hoax? Wasn't a hoax. Wasn't a hoax. And we now know that Rod Rosenstein stopped them from looking into Trump's financial ties with Russia, which was the linchpin by which he would have been prosecuted by Mueller. And Bill Barr protected him from being prosecuted in the first place. They could not indict a sitting president because of rules in the DOJ that Barr insisted were strictly held.
Reduce faith in our institutions.
That's because you're in the Senate, and it's hard not to see the Senate as a bit of a shithole when somebody like you has that seat.
And the ongoing suppression and censorship of conservative perspective by biased media and social media adds fuel to the flames.
Oh, I'm sorry. Twitter won't let you yell fire or assassination on their pages, so therefore you're being censored? I'm sorry. Does Parler not allow clips anymore? And by the way, Parler or Parlay is apparently having its own renaissance of censorship because of the nutcases that are trying to create the Great Day of the Rope or a white supremacist, take over the country. And they're kind of like, yeah, we're going to kind of be in trouble. You do realize that if Trump gets his way about 2:30, everybody at Parler's going to jail because the amount of stuff that they've allowed on their network to be spoken without censorship until they decided to like tap the brakes. All of it is, I mean, without 230, you could prosecute it.
Senator Grassley's and my investigation.
Don't drag me into this shit. I'm Chuck Grassley, and if I know a goddamn thing or two, it's that I'm over here with trying to shake off COVID while you're over there fancy pantsing around Russia with. That's how Grassley talks.
Report on the conflicts of interest and foreign financial entanglements of the Biden family is just one example of how media suppression can and does affect the outcome of an election.
Yeah, it's amazing. If they don't allow lies, propaganda, and disinfo to carry, we can't use it to manipulate the electorate into voting against their own interests.
Is both amazing and galling that all of a sudden, post-election, this has become a news story and a scandal worthy of investigation.
It hasn't. The story that's come up, by the way, and they cut it right there. Again, these are the parts that Trump thinks are important. The parts that he's talking about where it's suddenly a scandal worth viewing. No, the story about the Hunter Biden story that's coming out right now is the fact that the Justice Department under Bill Barr has tried to put in special prosecutors so that they can continue this on Benghazi style into the Biden administration. Not because it has value, but because they've used their ability to control the Justice Department to set these things in motion. Oh, we could do the whole meeting, but it's going to be a lot. So here's the next clip that Trump needed you to see.
I believe the alleged irregularities can be organized into three basic categories.
Okay, three basic categories. Let's do it.
Number one, lax enforcement or violations of election laws and controls.
Lax enforcement of election. Wait, what?
Lax enforcement or violations of election laws and controls.
Of elected election frauds. Okay, this is not helpful.
2, allegations of fraudulent votes and ballot stuffing.
Yeah, just because you make allegations don't mean they're true. They've been through this. The courts have been through this.
And 3, corruption of voting machines and software that might be programmed to add or switch votes.
You mean the ES&S machines in Ohio, Florida, and Texas, the ones that gave the election soundly to Trump, even though it violates every. All right, there's no paper trail. You mean those machines?
In the time we had, it was impossible to fully identify and examine every allegation. But many.
But let's jump in. Let's start looking into every allegation against Ron Johnson, shall we? Do you guys want to dive into that shit, Mr. 4th of July in Russia? In no press meetings with Vladimir Putin, where he comes back and says, I don't think there was any election interference in 2016. He came back not saying that after private meetings with no notes taken.
Many of these irregularities raise legitimate concerns, and they do need to be taken seriously.
No, they don't, and they don't. They don't. These are not legitimate concerns. These are sour grapes by the losing team.
So here's a brief summary of what we did learn.
What did we learn? Tell us what we learned, Ron Johnson.
And a lot of this should provide American public comfort in the integrity of our election system. First,
there was nothing?
Multiple controls do exist to help ensure election integrity.
Uh-huh.
Voter registration rules and election logs for both in-person and absentee vote balloting are used to verify eligible voters and help prevent fraudulent voting.
Uh-huh.
But it is not a perfect system, as we will hear in testimony today. We have increased the percentage of votes using paper ballots from 82% in 2016 to 95% in 2020, and a lot of that had to do with the efforts of CISA and Chris Krebs.
Yeah, that's right. You go from 82% using paper ballots to 95% using paper ballots, and all of a sudden, Democratic votes go through the frigging roof. Did you hear that? 95% of the votes cast in this election, largely, and by the way, it's because of Chris and all these people. They did good work in CISA, but that's not why. It's because of mail-in votes. There's a huge impact on it. And that's why the recounts kicked their ass.
recognizing that was a vulnerability in our system, not having that audit trail. So this.
And now they have that audit trail. And was that audit trail told you multiple times that not only did Trump lose exactly where they said he lost, but he lost by more.
This is a significant improvement in providing a backup audit trail, but only if full or statistically valid recounts occur.
Statistically valid recounts.
Optical scanners, ballot marking machines, and tabulators should not be connected to the internet during voting.
They're not.
We found some do have the capability of being connected.
Yeah, they have the capability, but they aren't. If you're not going to have them connected during voting, but you are going to have them connected during reviews or tabulation, they've got to be able to be connected. You have to have the ports on them to actually connect them. But it's really obvious that, and the tabulation machines upload it to the Secretary of State's office so they can look at it. That's how they find out, and that's how they pass it on to the networks. They don't do it by friggin' phone. What is this, 1972?
And there are allegations that some were.
Yeah, they weren't. And the allegations are based on bullshit.
Once voting ends, those machines print out a paper report and also transmit voting data in digital form in two separate data streams, from precinct to the county level and then the state level. The first data stream, this is the official stream, is sent to the official state election management systems, and the second, unofficial stream is to the unofficial media reporting system through companies like Edison Research and the Associated Press. There is a uniform method of transmission. It is not fully automated, and thousands of human beings are involved in the process.
Oh my God. Humans? You mean voters?
So human error does occur, but that is what paper backups and post-election canvassing is designed to catch.
And it did.
Today we will hear testimony on how election laws in some cases were not enforced and how fraudulent voting did occur. As it always does.
Yeah, as it always does. So if you can take anything from this, it's that the 2016 election wasn't legitimate and that Trump actually lost? Wait a second, what? I thought we were the ones attacking the integrity of the last election.
Lax enforcement, denying effective bipartisan observation of the complete election process.
These are all just Rudy Giuliani's talking points.
And failure to be fully transparent or conduct reasonable audits has led to heightened suspicion.
And by the way, wait, did they even say allegations?
Lax enforcement?
No, he didn't. What he says right before that is allegations of lax enforcement. But they took out the allegations of.
Lax enforcement, denying effective bipartisan observation of the complete election process.
See that?
And failure to be fully transparent or conduct reasonable audits has led to heightened suspicion.
What do you mean reasonable audits? Is the only reasonable audit one in which your side wins? Because that's what it sounds like.
The most difficult allegations.
Trump will leave on his own. He's already packing. This is all for show. Trump is not going to stay in the White House or have to be dragged out or any of that bullshit. He will absolutely leave on the day. More than likely, he will want to go to the inauguration. If all that embarrassing bullshit talk about a shadow rally and that kind of stuff is fart air. Most of the time, he'll cower and ass kiss like everybody else because he knows he's in trouble once he leaves office. But he can't stay in the White House. He's just a trespasser at that point. There is no way he uses military might to seize power and stays in the frigging White House. And like the White House's base in some sort of weird government game of tag. Who gives a shit if you're in that building or not? You're not the president anymore at that point. That's what the Constitution says. He couldn't barricade himself inside the White House and still sign bills. It's just dumb. Nobody believes that's a possibility, especially the people around Trump. And can I be abundantly clear about this? At his root, and you can listen to Noel Castler about this or anybody else, Tom Arnold, anybody who's actually worked with Donald Trump or knows him personally. At his base, Donald Trump is a coward. He is not a strong human being with a steel backbone and an almost superhuman. No, if he can, as long as he's got enough people to throw in front of trouble so he never has to be bothered by it, he can have braggadocious bullshit all day long. But the minute it's on his lap, the dude shits himself. He does. He literally shits himself on camera when he has to say things like arbitrage. Because it's on him. He's the producers on The Apprentice picked who was fired. He did not do it because if he tried, he would fail. He would never be able to fire anyone because he fears confrontation and he's a complete coward. He is a coward. Get used to the idea. All this stuff, I know people are worried about it, but it's based on this mythology that somehow he's actually tough. And he isn't. There are tough people around him who use what he does as their way of cutting into things. Stephen Miller is a cruel, disgusting human being who would absolutely hold strong on some nonsensical hill. But he doesn't have the power to do any of it. He needs Trump to hold the line for him. And Trump never will. The biggest joke of all in all of this is that Trump's followers and supporters actually believe he is a man. That he has any standards recognized as what it means to be a great or a powerful man. That he is an example of manhood. That is the biggest frigging joke of his entire presidency. Bone Spurs who wears a diaper, snorting his way through every goddamn speech. His entire show was based on a farce. The people who did The Apprentice came in and were disgusted by how shitty his office was. He had to borrow $56 million from his brother and sister just to pay operating costs in the 90s. He wrote The Art of the Deal through a ghostwriter who wrote the book himself. And Trump was like, yeah, okay, fine. During the time when he lost more money than any human being in the history of New York real estate. It's all bullshit. But it's been a system set up generationally because his dad was a success and had claws in New York real estate and claws in American real estate and some foreign interests over the years that it's hard to disentangle the young'uns from that shit. But never. And Trump, by the way, somebody just said Trump is a dictator. Trump is a wannabe dictator. Trump doesn't have the nerve to be a dictator. He's honest to God. Like, stop believing this bullshit story. It's smoke and mirrors. And it's smoke and mirrors put together by other people on his behalf because what it is you've got a fish so covered in barnacles that it looks like a whale from a distance. So people are like, Jesus, look at the size of that whale, the Trump whale. The Trump whale is all barnacles. And all those barnacles have a vested interest in you thinking that fish they're sucking off of is actually a giant frigging whale. And it isn't. It is not. It is not. I don't know how much more definitively I can say this. Donald Trump is not a man. He's a coward. And he will cower. He'll do petulant bullshit. He'll try to, let some Weasley people who are worse than he is do shit in the DOD and the DOJ on his way out the door. But he wouldn't have the nerve to pull that lever himself. Forget it. Period. End of story. So keep that in mind while all this crap is going on. Because he's got the Ron Johnsons of the world who will just, cradle his balls and lick his taint all the way through this mess. And why? Because Ron Johnson has a financial interest after he leaves office to join Trump in some sort of endeavor that he thinks is actually going to be there, or because the Russians have some sort of compromise on Ron Johnson. One of the two is probably true, if not both. So who gives a rat's ass?
To assess involve vulnerabilities in voting machines and the software used.
Yeah, they already did that. Listen to your CISA director, who was fired for saying that it was taken care of.
In order to effectively determine the extent to which voting machines were subject to nefarious intrusion or other vulnerabilities, computer science experts must be given the opportunity to examine these allegations.
Yeah, they have. Actual computer science experts, not a truck mechanic who washed out of the intelligence program and a dude who was in charge of psyops in the Army who now actually conducts private psyops on behalf of organizations who pretends to know shit about, or a computer expert who thinks that you can put a USB-V card in something.
This is an issue that has been under congressional scrutiny for years. Since 2018,
Yes, voting has been under scrutiny since 1776, you dumb shit.
aware of 3 oversight letters requesting information from the main suppliers of voting machines.
Oh, you wrote letters, so we're supposed to believe the problem that you think exists because, keeping black people from voting isn't going to be enough to keep you in office, so we're supposed to be concerned? Fuck's sake.
Focused on Election Systems and Software LLC, Dominion Voting Systems, Inc., and Hart InterCivic, Inc. Today we have a witness from the Election
Why is it audio off?
Assistance Commission, which certifies voting machines, to describe what has been done and what more can be done to address any vulnerabilities. On March 7, 2018, it was reported that Senators Klobuchar and Shaheen asked, quote, major vendors of U.S. voting equipment whether they had allowed Russian entities to scrutinize their software, saying the practice could allow Moscow to hack into American election infrastructure. Then last year, on March 26, 2019, Senators Klobuchar, Warner, Reid, and Ranking Member Peters wrote, quote, the integrity of our elections remain under serious threat.
Under threat.
Nation's intelligence agencies continue to raise.
Yes, we are always in danger of being attacked. There's a huge difference between saying we have enemies, that will attack us, and questioning the readiness of our soldiers. You see the difference?
Raise the alarm that foreign adversaries are actively trying to undermine our system of democracy and will target the 2020 elections as they did in 2016 and 2018 elections. A combination
which they did
of older legacy machines and newer systems, vulnerabilities in each present a problem for the security of our democracy, and they must be addressed.
So why didn't the ES&S machines consistently use paper ballots and receipts? Why did Texas not use the Dominion systems, which print out an overall paper ballot even on their electronic voting machines? Why is that? Why were there more Democrats registered to vote in Kentucky, but only half of them actually voted? In a year when the turnout was overwhelming. And was it Dominion machines used in Kentucky? No, it wasn't.
Then on December 6, 2019, Senators Warren, Klobuchar, Wyden, and Congressman Pocan wrote, quote, we are particularly concerned that secretive and trouble-plagued companies owned by private equity firms and responsible for manufacturing and maintaining voting machines and other election administration equipment, quote, have long skimped on security in favor of convenience, leaving voting systems across the country prone to security problems. Moreover, again, this is a quote from that letter, moreover...
Yeah, they were trying to pass a bill that Mitch McConnell scuttled.
When state and local officials work on replacing antiquated machines, many continue to run an old software that will soon be outdated and more vulnerable to hackers.
Soon. Will soon be. Wasn't. They did update it. All the systems updated. Because that's how computers work.
The letter continues. In 2018 alone, voters in South Carolina were reporting machines that switched their votes after they had inputted them. Scanners were rejecting paper ballots in Missouri, and busted machines were causing long lines in Indiana.
Busted.
In addition, these senators write, researchers recently uncovered previously undisclosed vulnerabilities in nearly 3 dozen back-end election systems in 10 states. And just this year, after the Democratic candidates...
By the way, all these things are things that the Democrats put forward because they were trying to get the cyber security bill around the elections passed. They were addressing issues they've had for a long time. And Mitch McConnell didn't bring it to the floor, and Ron Johnson would have voted against it. So, He had already said he was going to vote against it. None of them were going to vote for it. None of the Republicans were going to vote for the cybersecurity bill around the elections or any election security bills. There's two of them came to the floor, or two of them came to the Senate. Neither one of them were brought to the floor for a vote.
Tally showed he received an improbable 146 votes out of 55,000 cast in a Pennsylvania state judicial election in 2019. The county's Republican chairwoman said, nothing went right on election day. Everything went wrong. That's a problem. These problems threaten the integrity of our election.
Okay. And by the way, when they're talking about the local elections, different systems than the federal systems, and they can be hooked up to the internet for local offices and stuff in these little mini podunk things. So you'll hear them reference, like, in New Jersey, there was all this, blah, 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 and in Pennsylvania, in one county, this happened. Like, yeah, because they basically used a laptop to do all the voting in the county.
Lax.
And by the way, I love how they took off the alleged lax, taking off that. So here's Ken Starr. You guys will remember Ken Starr, who wrote some soft porn. He wrote some soft porn about the Clinton investigation, insisted that that was an impeachable offense and went after it, but insisted also that leveraging an ally for the benefit of Russia and extorting them was not.
Underlying this story of ever...
Jesus, that's loud.
...expanding voting rights.
And by the way, why are we looking at this little of you and that much of the wall?
Was an assumption that is one of integrity in the process. Recall the scene in the wonderful movie Selma, as the would-be voter portrayed by Oprah Winfrey was unconscionably stymied in her effort simply to register to vote. Dishonesty caused disenfranchisement and enormous moral outrage.
What? You're comparing Rudy Giuliani's inability to get his stupid lawsuits through a single courtroom, regardless of everything they presented? You're going to equate that with Oprah's character in Selma not being able to register to vote because she was black? Fuck you.
The flip side of racially motivated disenfranchisement,
oh boy,
is the bedrock concept of treat everyone fairly and be honest in the process.
And right now, white people in specific...
And this bears...
At a certain point, isn't it true that too many black people voting can be a problem?
Repeating. Honesty in the electoral process is fundamental to the social bonds that unite us as a free people.
So, is that why you're shutting your computer off and throwing it in the garbage?
Echoing the chairman's opening statement. And not surprisingly, the Supreme Court of the United States has severely warned about the dangers and the corrosive effects of dishonesty. Here's
Really?
what a unanimous Supreme
and yet they
Court
still invited you.
wrote in 19.
Oh boy.
In 2006. Confidence in the integrity of our electoral processes is essential to the functioning of our participatory democracy.
Yeah, and
the court went on to say, voter fraud drives honest citizens out of the democratic process and breeds distrust of our form of government.
So do allegations of voter fraud. Allegations of voter fraud are what drive people away from the voting process and keep them from... I mean, that's happening with Trump's own frigging voters right now. That's the problem they have in Georgia. A bunch of them are like, I'm not going to vote. They're just gathering my shit up. They're just going to... This is not even... It's already picked. They've already chosen Ossoff and Warnock. This is a big Democratic... blah. Like, and that's not based on anything. That's based on him and assholes like him arguing that we can't trust our elections, that there's fraud everywhere, and the allegations of fraud. That's what's stopping, Republicans from voting right now.
So how do we achieve honesty and integrity in elections?
Why would anyone ask Ken Starr this? At what point has Ken Starr ever prevailed in an election security legal argument? Seriously. The only reason they are dragging this asshole out of the mothballs and putting him in front of a committee is because A, they know he'll agree with whatever the fuck they want him to say, that he'll just repeat whatever Ron Johnson says, but also because every time he shows up, people are like, remember Clinton? He wasn't that great after all. He got a blowjob in the White House. It was gross. It really sunk. Democrats get in the White House and they turn it into a crazy flop house. It's terrible. That's what he's for. They only drag Ken Starr out because it reminds you of the Clinton scandal. That's it. Democrat scandal. That's what that is. That's all. Has there ever been a moment where he's actually prevailed over anything regarding election law?
It's a challenge for the reason the chairman suggested, decentralization. We have national elections, but we do not have a nationalized election with.
Exactly, which is why the Texas lawsuit got thrown out. That is exactly why. How could, literally, why don't you just walk in there, shoot yourself in the foot, and go home?
One set of rules. Indeed, both Article 1 and Article 2 point out the approach of our decentralized government, and that is we look to the states, but specifically state legislatures. Both Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution and Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2. And so, as in much of life, guardrails of integrity are needed, and time and again, courts have...
And you're scraping the sides of them like a drunk driver right now.
...warned in the strongest terms.
This is a drunk driver telling you it's a good thing that we have guardrails, or I'd be in that friggin' ravine.
That assuring honesty and integrity is a compellingly important governmental interest.
Oh, thank you, PJ. Appreciate that. Oh my gosh, that's great. That's an annual membership on Patreon. Thank you so much, PJ.
Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, now retired, who herself had been elected to state office in Arizona, specifically warned that judicial intervention may be required in order to protect the integrity of the election.
Weird. Somebody who ends up being on the Supreme Court, or a judge at some point said, it might be up to the courts one day to decide these things. You don't say. You think a judge might think that? Christ.
Process. And so, as we'll be exploring in this hearing, the presidential election 2020, with its unprecedented feature of the use of mail-in ballots, has given rise to a number of questions that...
Yeah. How can we let all these Democrats vote? How do we limit voting machines in black areas if people can just mail their goddamn vote in? What happens if all these people we've been disenfranchising all this goddamn time end up mailing their ballots in and end up being able to track them on their fucking phones? What the shit are we supposed to do?
Deserve to be answered.
Yeah, I just did. Jesus. So, again, these are the portions that Trump thinks are important and you need to hear.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
Ranking Member Peters.
Hello.
And members of the committee.
Hi. I would like to first of all tell you that there will be no running in the halls, and anyone with more than 100 Dalmatians will answer to me.
This year, thousands upon thousands of Nevada voters had their voices canceled out by election fraud.
Oh, boy. By the way, I would like to take this moment to say Rick Moranis is a genius.
And invalid ballots. Here's how it happened.
You tell us. Tell him, buddy.
On August 3rd, 2020...
August 3rd.
After a rushed special session, Nevada legislators made drastic changes to the state's election law.
Nevada legislators. Remember that.
By adopting a bill known as AB4.
They adopted a bill known as AB4.
The vulnerabilities of this statute were obvious. It provided for universal mail voting without sufficient safeguards to authenticate voters.
According to who?
Or ensure the fundamental requirement that only one ballot was sent to each legally qualified voter.
Yeah, but if two come back, they're going to disqualify the others. That's why you had people coming in and trying to vote in person. They're like, yeah, it already registered that you voted. You can't vote twice. This did that, by the way, in Arizona.
This was aggravated by election officials.
It's so aggravating.
Failure to clean known deficiencies in their voter rolls.
Known deficiencies. Mexicans.
Because of AB4, the number of mail ballots rocketed from about 70,000 in 2016
70,000 mail-in ballots in 2016 to
over 690,000.
690,000. Let's see. Okay, hold on one second. Let me do one thing real quick. 690,000. Let's see. All right, what do we got here? Okay, Arizona population. Oh, okay. So, 7.2 million people. So it tripled, but still, compared to the number of the overall vote in the state, reasonable amount. I thought it was going to be higher, personally. I think many of you. But yeah. But guys, you don't understand. People were mailing in their ballots. Don't you understand? This is a plandemic. Plandemic.
This year.
Yeah. Because of a pandemic, because of COVID. Why the fuck do you think you're sitting next to a case of Purell wipes, asshole? Look at this idiot. Look at him. I don't know why we would be voting, but why would people be voting by mail? You think any other situation? You know, there is a statistically significant increase in the number of Purell hand wipes and hand sanitizer in this particular congressional testimony compared to 2016. If this man gave these same remarks in 2017 after the 2016 election, there would be a statistically significant fewer number of Purell wipes on the goddamn table. Jesus. There's like 3 times as many hand wipes as it. All right.
Election was inevitably riddled with fraud, and our hotline never stopped ringing.
Mm-hmm. We had the best hotline. It never stopped ringing. Hi, I'm your hotline operator. What would you like? Can you do I'm really into like ballots that were counted 5 times. I've got a stack of ballots and I'm running them through again. Can you speak slower, please?
While the media and Democrats.
Our hotline never stopped ringing.
690,000 this year.
Listen to this.
The election was inevitably riddled with fraud.
Inevitably. Debatable, but okay, go ahead.
And our hotline never stopped ringing.
My dance card is full, sister.
While the media and Democrats accuse us of making it all up.
You seem completely sane, sir.
Our team began chasing down every lead.
Oh boy, chasing down every lead. This dude's cop show is the shit.
Our evidence came.
But again, this is the clip that Donald Trump wanted to repost.
Both from data scientists and from brave whistleblowers.
Brave whistleblowers.
Here's what we found.
Oh boy.
Over 42,000 people voted more than once. Our experts were able to make this determination by reviewing the list of actual voters and comparing it to other voters with the same name, address, and date of birth. This method was also able to catch. I have a list of these voters with their address on it, and then I have another list that doesn't have their address on it. That's their name twice on 2 pieces of paper. Oh, shit. All these people must have voted twice. You don't have you just printed out the list that doesn't have the home addresses on them. And there, you do realize there's more than one Sam Smith and more than one Juan Gonzalez and one more, there's a couple of Lisa Meadows in the States. You do realize people have similar names, right? And if you don't have the addresses, you could go, well, sure, this one has an address, this one doesn't. It's the same person. You do realize you're insane and full of shit right now? Okay. Catch people using different variations of their first name.
It's almost as if they're different people.
Such as William and Bill.
William and Bill both voted. They are not Siamese twins, we checked.
And individuals who were registered both under a married name and a maiden name.
And because they were registered and then they got married and they didn't deregister They just updated their registration. The state didn't get rid of that. That doesn't mean those people voted twice. It doesn't. That happens all the time. How do I deregister in my maiden name before I register? Should I have to do both? No, when you register in your married name, it just supersedes that because it's attached to your ID. Do you get rid of the other one? No, you just won't get credit for it. But it won't. Ballot won't show.
At least 1,500 dead people are recorded as voting.
No dead people voted in Arizona.
As shown by comparing the list of male voters with the Social Security death records. More than
You mean the people who died between voting early and the actual election? Or
19,000 people voted even though they didn't live in Nevada.
You mean like military families and people who are away at college, and especially people who are in quarantine in places and didn't come back home, that are only registered as voters in Arizona?
This does not include military voters or students.
No, sure it doesn't.
These voters were identified by comparing the list of voters with the U.S. Postal Service's National Change of Address database, among other sources.
Okay. They changed their mailing address, but they didn't change their home address because they were in another state during lockdown?
About 8,000 people voted from non-existent addresses.
These places like Wrigley Field.
Here we cross-reference voters with the Coding Accuracy Support System, which allowed our experts to identify undeliverable addresses.
So they were undeliverable ballots that somehow magically got back? Okay.
Over 15,000 votes were cast from commercial or vacant addresses. Our experts found these voters by analyzing official U.S. Postal Service records that flag non-residential addresses and addresses vacant for more than 90 days.
Oh, so people who lost their homes or businesses, that was the majority of them. So addresses vacant for more than 90 days. So people who lost their homes during COVID, but still were registered to vote or were staying at a friend's house but managed to get their mail. I don't know. He's Jeff Banal. He's with one of the Trump campaign's people.
Incredibly, almost 4,000 non-citizens also voted, as determined by comparing official DMV records of non-citizens to the list of actual voters in the 2020 election.
Oh, you mean there was a Juan Gonzalez who isn't a citizen, who's got a green card, for example, and a driver's license, and then there's a Juan Gonzalez who's a citizen, and you didn't check that they had the different addresses and all that kind of shit.
The list goes on.
I don't doubt it.
All in all, our experts identified 130,000
Trump voters,
unique instances of voter fraud in Nevada. But the actual number is almost certainly higher. Our data scientists made these calculations.
Our data scientists. And these people would be whom?
Not by estimations or statistical sampling, but by analyzing and comparing the list of actual voters with other lists, most of which are publicly available.
Yeah, most of the time we just took publicly available lists, like, people who go to TJ Maxx and anything we could basically scan, or lists we could buy from the Republican Party that were meant to, knock people off the rolls, that we've used in multiple states to try and eliminate the rights of people to vote, mostly poor people and black people and Hispanic people, but a couple of Asians. And so, I mean, not all Asians, obviously. The more like, Southeast Asian, Filipino, that kind of thing, like keeping them from voting. But most of the time, these are just lists you can find anywhere. And then you take a list you can find anywhere and compare it to another list you can find anywhere. And
to put it simply, they explain their methods so others could check their work. Our evidence has never been refuted, only ignored.
Boo-hoo. Wait, hold on. That's where it cut. Our evidence has never been refuted, only ignored. Well, dude, I get that being ignored is sort of the entirety of your life, it seems. But there were not 130,000 by any measure. Let's see. Let me see if I can look up what this guy's doing. 130,000. Let's see. Arizona voter fraud claims. Okay. Let's see. see, Julian, parade of. Let's see if I can. I'm trying to find that actual one. The Smartmatic stuff. Let's just look up Jesse's reports themselves. That'll be the easiest way of doing it. Hold on. Let's look up Jesse's stuff because he feels ignored, guys. And I've got a few minutes left, so okay. Jesse Manel claims. Let's see. He's a campaign attorney for. There he goes. Hold on. All right, that's the ABC. Good. All right, let me back up.
You people.
I don't want to go over his the whole thing. There we go. Campaign attorney. Trump won Nevada despite Biden results. That's that guy. Where's that? I don't want that. I want the Arizona stuff. He was just talking about Arizona, not just claims Arizona. All right, we'll figure this out. Hold on. Looking for it. Nevada. There you go. Yipe. Oh, get the hell out. Wait a goddamn second. Hold on. Hold the phone. Wait a second. All right. Guys, this is the guy who's speaking right now. This is this Jesse Banal dude, right? This is him. Does that guy look familiar right there? Didn't we? Hold on. I got to back this up. Questions from the people. Hold on. I'm just checking. Nope, different guy. Okay. I thought it was the same guy. I was like, that would be so weird. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it just looks different now. All right. So, Jesus, that scared me. Because it just, all right. Anyways, so here we go. This is it. Senate hearing elevates baseless claims of a, I don't know why I'm leaving L's out all over the place. I must need a nap. All right, here we go. Senate hearing elevates baseless claims of election fraud. That's KTAR. Let's see. I want to find his stuff. Judge turned back claim by, okay. Judges turned back claims by Trump and his allies in 6 states as the president's legal effort founders. By the way, clearly, not ignored. Got their day in court, screwed the pooch. That's what's happening right here. President Trump and his allies faced a crush of defeats in post-election litigation Friday. This is from December 4th. Further sign of their ongoing failure to overturn President-elect Joe Biden's victory through the courts. Just over a month after the November 3rd election, the Trump campaign and other Republicans suing over Biden's win were dealt court losses across 6 states. They tried to contest the results of the presidential race: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Minnesota. Let's see. I want to find this whole. That's Wisconsin. Biggest defeats. Here it is. 2 of the biggest defeats took place in Arizona and Nevada, where judges tossed out full-scale challenges to the state's election results filed by the Republican Party and the Trump campaign, respectively. Both judges noted in their opinion that the plaintiffs did not prove their claims of fraud. In a detailed 35-page decision, Judges James T. Russell of the District Court in Carson City vetted each claim of fraud and wrongdoing made by the Trump campaign in the state and found that none was supported by convincing proof. The judge dismissed the challenge with prejudice, ruling that the campaign failed to offer any basis for annulling more than 1.3 million votes cast in the state's presidential race. The campaign, quote, did not prove under any standard of proof, wow, that illegal votes were cast and counted or legal votes were not counted at all due to voter fraud, nor in an amount equal to or greater than Biden's margin of victory, which was 33,600 votes, Russell wrote. During a court hearing Thursday afternoon, Trump campaign lawyer Jesse Banal said the Nevada election had been stolen from Trump and claimed a robust body of evidence supported his conclusion. Amongst his... thank you, John. Appreciate it. Another year-long subscriber, I think. That's great. Among its allegations, the campaign claimed that more than 61,000 people voted twice or from out of state. In his ruling, Russell concurred with election officials and academic experts that there is no evidence for this, and specifically dismissed witness declarations that had been touted by the campaign, calling them self-serving statements of little or no evidentiary value. The judge added that the campaign's so-called expert testimony was of little to no value and called a claim of ballot stuffing in broad daylight made by one anonymous person and not corroborated by anyone else, quote, not credible. In a statement, the Nevada Republican Party said it intended to immediately appeal the ruling in the state's highest court. For his part, Nevada Attorney General Aaron Ford, a Democrat, cheered the decision and called on members of Trump's team to submit a formal complaint of voter fraud to his office, accompanied by details and evidence. You can't do that. They can't do that, AG Ford. They can't do that. Otherwise, they could say they weren't ignored. Absent such a complaint and supporting evidence, these claims of widespread voter fraud remain baseless. This election is over. The Trump campaign strategy of using the courts to challenge... Okay, let's skip ahead to see if any of more of banality can be found. While the hearing largely dealt with the setting a rapid schedule of filings and hearings next week, Ludwig, a Trump nominee who took the bench only in September, noted that the president has requested extraordinary relief. Well, that's why he wears a diaper, I think, isn't it? He added that he had a very, very hard time seeing why Trump brought the action in federal court. Ludwig also termed a Trump request to remand the election back to the state legislature bizarre. Yeah, I mean, this is... Oh, thank you so much, Eric. Missed the start. Got a question for you. What's with the January 6th? I thought they settled this and with the voting of electoral votes. Sorry. 6th is when the it's certified by the... where the vice president signs off on it. It's all rubber stamp stuff. It's over. There is no point. I mean, unless Trump plans on, getting Mike Flynn to gather an armed force to hold the building of the White House for a couple of days while he plays president in the West Wing for a little while. It's just, there is nothing there. And there is no way the vice president doesn't sign off on this. And once Mitch McConnell already said, congratulations, that's it. I mean, please. Oh, you can't send stars? I'm terribly sorry. I don't know why that would be. It's enabled. It says it's there. So, I don't know why that is. Hold on. I'm checking something real quick. Because we're almost done for the day. I don't want to stay over too long because it just becomes, the show becomes monstrous for people. Otherwise, I might as well just stream nonstop like I'm in the Big Brother house. And by the way, thank you guys for the support today. Thank you to the new patrons and the ones who've been with us for a long while. And thank you for the super chats. And thank you for the Venmo, guys. That in and of itself is a fantastic way to help the show. Oh, look at that. Bing! Oh yeah, I just got a text message that they're doing a documentary about what it's like to do comedy during COVID for flappers, and they just want me to be a part of it. And that's nice. That's sweet. They just asked me to do that. That's lovely. Let's see. As a conservative Republican, I don't like the results of the presidential election. I voted for President Trump and worked hard to reelect him. Speaker Rusty Bowers. Boy, if that's a Trump voter name, That's all. Rusty Bowers. Rusty Bowers. Sounds like a Sam Elliott character. I'm Rusty Bowers, dude. But I cannot and will not entertain a suggestion that we violate current law to change the outcome of a certified election. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. Let's just understand that. That's Rusty Trombone. That's Mike Pence's Secret Service name. This is him losing again and again and again and again and again. And by the way, Jesse Bernal's thing, listen to what he says at the tail end of this.
Are publicly available. To put it simply, they explain their methods so others could check their work. Our evidence has never been refuted, only ignored.
Nope, it was refuted. They've been to court with it. The initial ruling, especially on this, had a 35-page report on it 35-page decision by the judge in the case that went through all of their allegations. That's what he calls ignored. Yeah. Rusty. Rusty Trowel is a joke reference to a Mason who's forgotten all of his stuff. If you're so old, you've been in the Mason so long, but you don't remember the parts you're supposed to memorize. Yeah, that's fun. It's true. It's actually, yeah. All right, well, I'll wrap up. We're 15 minutes over almost anyway, so I'm going to let you guys go. Oh, wait, there was one last thing I wanted to show you. So we all know about OAN, right? And we all know about Newsmax. Few know about NTD News. What is NTD Business News? They are called. Why are they? Oh yeah. So NTD is Epic News's own business channel, right? And it's got 1 million fake paid subscribers, but it gives the illusion of this is it right here. NTD Business. Check this out. Like again, I do this little show on my own with just the gear that's been provided by the patrons. Bless your hearts and thank you. You've helped me over the process learn so much about putting this kind of stuff together that I was able to help Stuttering John get his act together. And I will probably at the end of this be teaching a class to people on like how to set up their own home studio like that and get an actual show on. But these are the Epic Times is I forget who, like it's super sketch. I'm blitzing, but I want to say it's like North Korea. Like who's behind Epic Times? It's super weird. It's it might be just the anti-Chinese. Yeah, it's Falun Gong. That's what it was. So Falun Gong is a cult that China basically declared war on at one point, and they decided they're the people who hold up those things outside that they're almost like the kind of like pro-life pictures of Chinese people being tortured because they're Falun Gong members. That whole thing, that cult, and China views them as kind of like the Manson family. Well, some young mooned their way into some money outside the country because people felt bad for them or had an anti-China bent, and they built the Epic Times, and so they source all their stuff through there. And this is the production value.
We start with some updates on the disputed
And I thought my green screen was bad.
Election. Today, the chairman of the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee says discussion on the integrity of the 2020 election shouldn't be controversial. He wants to restore confidence in the country's election.
Is this guy AI? I don't know where the accent is coming from. It kind of floats in and out.
Election system, since many Americans don't believe the result is legitimate.
Yeah, do they?
He says today's hearing, the first at federal level, is just the first part of its investigation.
But is it the first?
The initial gathering of information.
I like to think of this hearing
as a waste of taxpayer money.
Is a demonstration that freedom to obtain and distribute information to the public.
We have that. Seriously, I'm so sick of this Rudy Giuliani bullshit. That because CNN won't carry you live and let you ram a segment on your bullshit, they're not having me on, largely because I swear too much, but they're not having me on, and I'm not like, the mainstream media is trying to shut me down because I used to just do comedy and now I'm political and they can't take it. And I could just bitch about that all day and make up as if I've been turned down. And when they let Rudy on these things, they would listen to his shit, but they would go, that part's not true, though. You got to admit that that's not true. Yes, it is true. It is true. Whatever. And then he would just bulldoze, and then they're like, okay, done. You don't get to just go. You can have the right to free speech, but you don't have the right to somebody else's megaphone. It is the laziest, stupid argument. And this asshole going, this is about getting information out there. We've all heard this bullshit. Again and again and again.
There's nothing dangerous about that. It is essential.
Yes, it is. Because by it constantly being shot down because of on the merits it's shot down, and then you keep bringing it up. What you do is you create doubt in the system that establishes what the merit is.
To our freedom, it's essential to our country, to our democratic republic.
So that's why I spent 4th of July in Russia with Vladimir Putin with no witnesses present and no notes taken.
And is essential if we're going to restore confidence.
Then you should step down. By the way, I don't see him being long for the senatorial world. I think he loses next time.
In this election system we have.
Democrats mainly read from pre-prepared statements and outright dismissed the fraud claims.
Do you not realize that he was reading from a pre-prepared statement? And most of them, they are dismissing them because they should be dismissed.
They told people
They dismissed all of our claims that gravity is an illusion, and the only way you can really test it is by walking off a cliff.
Just to look at the number of cases rejected by the courts. But Republican Senator Rand Paul argued the courts didn't even consider the accusations.
They didn't even consider him. He never read, obviously, the 35-page ruling put out by the Nevada Supreme Court.
They just threw them out in technicalities or for lack of standing.
That's because he's parroting what the president says. Why'd you cut away to this? Oh, Lady Justice.
The courts have not decided the facts.
Yes, they have.
The courts never looked at the facts.
They did look at the facts. You're not looking at what their ruling was.
The courts don't like elections, and so they stayed out of it by finding an excuse.
Oh, yeah? In 2001? Is that what they did? In 2000, in 1999? 2000? They stayed out of it, did they?
Standing or otherwise to stay out of it.
That's a legit argument.
But the fraud happened.
No, it didn't.
The election in many ways was stolen.
No, it wasn't.
And Trump attorneys in 2 different states say they...
That's some solid compromise they got on Squirrelhead there.
...weren't giving a fair shot in court either.
Oh, no. Why does your background keep changing? Is that... No, where is he supposed to be? I am in generic city. Anyways, so we don't need to watch a bunch of this. This is what they do. But there's not just 2 of the... It's not just... there's 3 of them. It's not just OAN and Newsmax. There's also Epoch Times, and they create this human centipede circle jerk of disinfo that they go, like you heard on the other network, and this other network just said, and these 2 other networks have said stuff that we've said, and we said the same thing as these 2 other networks, and they say the same thing, and then eventually try to bounce it up to Fox, and Fox is like spiking it, going, it's bullshit, just because you 3 assholes are saying the same thing.
On the scale.
It's just goofy. Anyways, so I'm going to sign off. I thought I'd introduce you guys to that part of it because some of that's going to come up in the future. I have no doubt. I think, the question will be, will OG1, the network that Trump is starting, and that might just be the code name for it, and they'll just call it Trump TV, probably. So it'll have, the same success that Trump Steaks and Trump Water and Trump University have had. Nothing helps better than that brand. Nothing says quality and not gaudy, new money asshole garbage like the name Trump. And so over the course of the next, 3 to 6 months after he leaves, we'll see which one he ends up trying to buy and then going, I'm not going to buy it. This is my prediction too, is that either it's somebody else's money, they take some of the money, like $100 million of it from the suckers who send him money, and they buy the rights or the facilities or whatever of OAN or one of these other things. Or he just enters into, and I think this is more likely the case, Trump will enter into a licensing agreement with one of these small networks like Newsmax, probably OAN though, and bounce it up into this is the official Trump network. And it won't cost him anything. He'll just be responsible for a certain number of, he'll call in on a regular basis, and Don Jr. and Eric will end up having shows. honest to God, I think that's how it's going to go. Anyways, you guys are wonderful. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. I will see you tomorrow. Of course, show's on at 4 o'clock my time, not 3 o'clock. It's an hour later because of family FaceTime. And I hope everybody's holiday is going as best as it can possibly be in this time. And I will see you guys very, very soon. All right. I'll talk to you later. Be well. Be safe. And theme song. Right about now. Right about, where's the theme song? Play it. 3, 2, 1, and go. There it is. Okay, good. Drives me crazy.